welcome to Legal Knowledge. I hope you like that intro. That was the brief explanation. We are going to be talking this episode about knowledge versus power, how to know your enemy and make them irrelevant. This is the first episode of the 5th season, and so I wanted to say welcome. There's just real quick, show you here. Where's the computer?
You didn't change your graphic.
I didn't change my. Oh, I hit auto trans. Okay, my bad. There, welcome again. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Let's get the website up there. And anyway, welcome to Legal Knowledge. Apparently, I was in the dark there for a little bit. And so I also want to switch over to the Studio Web here. Studio Web. Why are we not on that? I have a website up there that the new site is up. It's a little easier to find. I'm trying to get it so I can show you this, and for some reason, it's not showing me anything here. Why is that doing that? Control room web. And I'm not getting anything. Anyway, I guess we're not going to be showing anything on the website.
Studio Web.
Oh, Studio?
Control
yeah,
room.
right.
No,
Yeah.
that's only your viewer. You need to push here. Control.
Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to say, here's the website here. You can see the list of shows. You can see the next show. It's a little bit of a small screen. Sorry about that. This is the program guide. You click on next show, and you get immediately to the next show. Or last, same thing. Yay. So, yeah, the website's working a little bit better now. So I just wanted to point that out. We're on live every, it's the third Friday of every month through December. So there's 5 shows, and then see what happens with the time schedule change. It's every third Friday at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That would be same as Pacific Daylight Time, 8:30 p.m. Apparently, I'm on right after Bill Maher, if you're on the East Coast. And so the other thing on the website, it has the wrong call-in number. It's 624-2792. So if you want to call in, it's area code 520-624-2792. There's also a Twitter, IKTV Season 5. If you want to send your questions, comments, whatever in, you can go ahead and do that. I also want to say hi, Kyler, and let's go down here to the phone number. And okay, so this is this knowledge versus power is about the long line of people who have some call them Illuminati. The Bilderbergers are the latest in this line. Obviously, you have your Trilateral Commission, the Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones, Center for Foreign Policy, other Illuminati groups dating back to Egypt have been pretty much controlling the kings behind the scenes. And the way they've been doing that is largely by controlling the economies, the money supply of the various countries, or they've just simply been in charge. Whether that's if they've been the advisor to the pharaoh or the king themselves. What's going on here with that is that they basically their idea is to rule over the planet. I guess way back when there were biblical times, there were tribes that split up, and there were kings in charge of each of those tribes, and then since then these people have perpetuated this rule. Right now, we have, like I said, we have the Bilderbergers, the Bilderberg Group, named after the hotel where they first met. There's no real official name for the group, so that's what they are being called. They're basically, aside from just ruling over everyone and putting people into slavery, serfdom, is the basic the concept. They want to get all the money for themselves, keep everyone poor as possible, and then when there are too many of us, just sort of kill us off. And they can do that using, biochemical weapons. They can do that by creating false wars. They can do that by simply starving us. Look at Africa, for that matter. And the way they do that right now, as I was saying, is they primarily control the money, the monetary supply. The people that I'm talking about that are in this are the people that go visit. They have an annual meeting. It's a lot of heads of companies, heads of state, the Queen of Belgium, and Prince Philip of Belgium, and David Rockefeller. Hillary Clinton was there. They got Zbigniew Brzezinski, Henry Kissinger, those types. And then there's like about 3,600 of these, and I could name them, but that would take the whole show. So what they do is they basically have control over the banks. Okay, so you have things like the Federal Reserve banking system. That started out, it started out that in the United States we didn't really have a global banking system per se. We had a Bank of the United States. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says that it'll be Congress that has the power to create currency, to mint currency. And so basically Congress went ahead and abrogated that power to the Federal Reserve. But before they did that, and that was in 1913, the creature from Jekyll Island, before that, they had a central bank, the first bank of the United States. That was back in Washington's time. By the time we got to Andrew Jackson wanted to abolish any central bank, and he did. And he ended up with lots of little, community banks, which was nice. Right after that, the people that wanted to, when you have a banking consortium, like way back in the day, there was the Rothschilds. What they do is they lend money to countries because they would need money to fight wars. So what the Rothschilds did is they would create the war, or they'd incite the war in some way, so that the countries that they were financing would then need the money from the Rothschilds, and then they would charge interest on the money lent for the war to finance the war. And a lot of the time what they do is they lend to both sides of the war, and then hopefully the war would basically, one side wouldn't completely win out over the other because they were funding one side more, and then if one side tended to win, they'd pull back a little on the funding for that side, and so they'd always end up kind of stalemating them. And that way, number one, they would always get their interest back and their money back from the countries, and they would always have the same countries to keep lending to and to keep getting money from, and it perpetuated the cycle. So that's why you had all these World War I and it's also why we got, one of the reasons, I mean, obviously there was slavery, but why we started the Civil War, because the Bank of England was willing to fund the South. And had it not been willing to fund the South wouldn't have had the resources to try to fight the North, and they never would have started the war. And so there's that. So the reason why they tried to fund the South is obviously so they could get another foothold back in the United States, because after Andrew Jackson, the banks in the United States there were no global banking systems in the United States at all. And so they needed to get back in, so they needed a foothold, so they had to start a war. Then we had, the Mexican-American War. We had the Spanish, the one in 1848. That was kind of the first one before the Civil War. Then the Spanish-American War in the turn of the century. Then World War I, but that was after they made the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is also accompanied by the income tax, and that way they had the money. They had the money tied up in the Federal Reserve, which is there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. It's a private banking organization. It's called that, but it's a company, and it needed to have the income tax also, so that, which was passed as an amendment, the 16th Amendment to the Constitution, right around the same time as, I guess it was 1916 when it was ratified, it was about 13 when it was introduced, was the same time that the Federal Reserve banking system was happening. It needed to have that in place so there's a guaranteed money supply coming in to the United States Treasury, so that when the United States borrows money from the Federal Reserve, which it does for all the money that we print, every dollar that we have out there, minus a couple that were printed during Kennedy's term, and minus the coins, are Federal Reserve notes, which means that the U.S. owes money to the Federal Reserve for all those that it's circulating. So the income tax was a way to make sure that the U.S. had a steady stream of money coming in so that it could pay the interest and the debt due to the Federal Reserve, because they were handling the money, and these are our bankers, and they want to make sure that they're getting money out of a country. If you look right now at what's going on with the European Union, which is awful, that is because the global banks have extended loans to these countries, and they overextended these loans to these countries. And as a result, you end up with what's known as austerity. Something which is austere is old, I don't know why they're using the word, but what basically they're doing is right now in Greece, I think the unemployment rate is something around 50%. If you they don't have pensions. There are a lot of government pensioners in Greece, and now they had to cut all those pensions. There are towns in Greece that have been forced to use barter. I wonder why they don't use ledger systems, like a local economic trading system. There's the other problem is that these banks. I mean, if you've seen, in the website that I have, michaeloatman.net, I wrote about HSBC having laundered money for a bunch of drug dealers, reverse CIA laundering money. They're trying to make their clean money black, and the drug dealers are trying to make their black money clean, so they just sort of trade. And the HSBC, the bank, is responsible for handling that. They got found out. It got in the news the other day, in the mainstream news, finally, about 3 months after this broke, I guess, maybe more than 3 months. But finally, the mainstream news did report on it. Yay. They, I guess, are being investigated. They may be shut down in the United States as a result. Now, when you have, like I wrote in the article, when you have a lot of money going in and out, like several $1 million up to a couple billion every month throughout all the accounts, the Federal Reserve they automatically know about that. They are required to know about large transfers of money. That's part of the whole Patriot Act. That's part of, we're required to, banks are required to let the Federal Reserve know. Now, assuming that the Federal Reserve knew, and I think that's fairly fair to assume, assuming that that was actually the case, and yeah, they probably knew, then why didn't the Federal Reserve say anything about that? Wait, were they on the take as well? Oh yeah, probably. The question is why? How, did Bernanke knew about? Did he know about this? Geithner must have known. Does that mean Obama knew, or someone who's in the maybe some Congress people knew? Someone must have. It's like anyway. That you got the LIBOR thing where they're setting the interest rates and cheating people out of and making the banks look more financially solvent than they are by keeping the interest rate lower than it should be. There's all these scandals going on. This is what happens when you let these international banksters run amok. Okay, this is what they try to do. They try to make wars. They're now talking about, get ready for the well, they're saying in a way that we want to make sure we're ready just in case there's another economic collapse and the Federal Reserve can't bail you out this time. We want to make sure that you can, it's a different sort of stress test that they're doing. Is that really what that is, or are they actually planning on another economic collapse? Is that then also to again take the idea is to take all the money from everyone but the super ultra rich, the 0.00001%, the 400 families or something in the U.S. that have like 90% of the wealth. What do you suppose happens then when, let's say they get all the wealth, or let's say what we can do is and this is part of make them irrelevant, at least in terms of the money aspects, and we'll get onto the other ones in a bit here, but at least in terms of the money aspect, how you make them irrelevant is you don't use their money. You don't use Federal Reserve notes. You make your own money. And that's what local economic trading systems are. If you go back a couple episodes, back to episode 3. Back to if you look at 403 here, let's switch over there. That one there. We talked about exactly how to go ahead and get time banks or local economic trading systems, whether that was in the form of a script or just on a ledger, or online or something like that. Anyway, so that was over there. You can go ahead and watch that. If you want to review that. But the idea is to get local economic trading systems going in every community. That way, if we have that set up, and anyone can do this, it's perfectly legal. It's just so you don't write, Federal Reserve note on your money if you want to print out script. If you want to do that, don't make it look like a greenback. Essentially, make it look completely different and get a lot of people involved, and then we don't even need Federal Reserve notes. We can just get rid of them, and what the good thing about having something like a ledger system or a time bank or whatever is that the currency expands as required. So when you need credit, like how the people are having a major problem right now with the control over credit, that the banks are not lending out any money because they, ostensibly they need to make sure that their reserves, because they're practicing fractional reserve banking, and their reserves are less than they should be. So they're not loaning money out because they need higher reserves, supposedly. The one thing that I thought was interesting the other day, I heard that I think it was on Marketplace or something like that they were they're potentially bandying about the idea. The Federal Reserve was bandying about the idea of charging negative interest to the banks. It's also known as demurrage. Negative interest would mean that the longer you hold on to the money, the less money you have the opposite of interest, which is the longer you hold on to the money, the more money you have, right? So you actually, and what that would do is and that would be just for the extra cash on hand borrowing rate for bank to bank. And what that would do is it would allow banks to free up that little bit of money to lend out to people, to extend as credit, where they would get a better interest rate, obviously, because they'd be getting a negative interest rate on the money if they kept it. So they'd obviously want to get a better interest rate, so they loan it out. That would be a good idea. I don't know if they're planning on doing it, but the idea was apparently tossed about. I heard it on the radio, on NPR. So anyway, the idea would be to get all the local economic trading systems set up, have an exchange between them, and then not need money, because what you can not need Federal Reserve notes, because what it does is you automatically expand the money supply every time, especially with a time bank. Every time that you need credit, the money basically creates itself, because it's time if it's a time bank, and you just write it into a ledger if it's a ledger system. You automatically extend the credit, and you can have, like, when you're in like a local economic trading system, you can have a negative balance. It doesn't matter because it's a zero-sum sort of thing. So you're always, so once you do something, someone's going to go the other way, and so the idea is to keep a zero balance. And it's okay if you go negative, and it's okay if you go positive. But you don't want to be too much positive, and you don't want to be way negative, right? Because that means other people are way positive, right? So you want to keep everyone right around a zero balance. And that way, there's always money to be lent. There's always credit to be. Getting rich on a local economic trading system is not the concept. That is opposite from the concept. In order to keep the economy going, you need to have money being spent, and that creates all the opportunities that we have in an economy. If there's no money being spent, then it's like everything freezes, and unless there's money there, and that's why in Greece they're using barter, because they literally got all the money sucked out, and they can't. Well, we got to do something. Well, look here, let's just barter then. Okay. Well, I hope that they're actually using something better than barter, which is a local economic trading system. Okay. Anyway, on to biogenetics. What this is it's called. There's a thing called transhumanism, and let's see, how's my time look? Okay, yeah. We'll take some phone calls pretty soon here, and if anyone wants to Twitter a question or anything like this, I'm checking right here to see if anyone. I'll get it on the screen right here. Anyway, transhumanism is basically it could be considered if you artificially enhance like with machinery, cyborg wise, you have people putting computers in their hands and controlling other things or arms or whatever. But it's far beyond that. It's the idea would be to do life extension, to have people live longer than, say, I guess 120 years was just the other day. There's an old lady in Ohio who had lived to 120. So like far beyond that, like, maybe 10, 20, 200 times that. And the way that you do that is, number one, you stop aging. That can be done genetically. Number two, you have to make sure that you have replaceable parts so that when something wears out, you can replace it. Or what you do is you artificially produce that, meaning that you have machinery that does, Cheney's got an artificial heart, which he doesn't actually have a pulse. It just pumps just at an even rate. It doesn't pump like that. It just so Cheney does not have a pulse because of his artificial heart. Is that kind of a thing? The artificial hearts that they normally make pump like the heart pumps, and for some reason he has something that's not that. I would suppose that is something that would be one of these new transhumanist things. The other thing that's kind of disturbing is that they're trying to bring, it's also an effort to bring back eugenics. If you recall, that was something that they did in North Carolina and some of the southern states back in the 20s and 30s, and also what Hitler did with trying to get rid of the Roma and the Jews and the gays and everything from Germany. He wanted an Aryan race, and I guess I'm not sure exactly what it is that, but I'm pretty sure that the people in charge probably don't like anyone but white people, I would imagine, because they're pretty much all white themselves. And they want to, back in 402, episode 402, and go back one more here. Again, you can watch this right after the show here. 402 right here. We talk about the Georgia Guidestones down here somewhere. Yeah, there it is, right there. So you can go check that out. What that is, as I talked about it there, and I'll just quickly talk about, I named all of the things on that show if you want to go over it, or you can check the Wikipedia article there. Basically, some of it sounds interesting and like kind of new age, feel good kind of thing, but one of the first on the list is to reduce the population to 500 million. If you're aware, there are 7 billion people on the planet right now. That means that 13 out of every 14 people have to somehow not be living. So either they get killed or something happens, and so the point of the transhumanists and the Bilderbergers and all this, and with their eugenics, is to reduce the population to 500 million or less, quote unquote, in perpetual balance with nature, according to the Georgia Guidestones. The other thing that's going on that's very disturbing is the whole genetic engineering with plants, corn most notably, and through the Monsanto Corporation, as it was mentioned in the beginning there. What's going on is when you mess up the genome in plants, it can be that same sort of genetic switch. It can get transferred. Like they have the thing that I was talking about, Bt toxin. What happens is in the genetic structure of the actual corn itself, the genetic structure allows the corn to produce this Bt toxin, like naturally, through its own genetics that we manipulate. What happens is that same genetic sequence can get transferred to humans or to animals, or to, if you use it in your feedstocks, or if you eat it. And then you can make this toxin yourself, which is not good. It will kill you. It's an insecticide, but it will also kill. It's kind of like Agent Orange. It's a similar relative. Monsanto was the corporation who made Agent Orange, by the way, and DDT and various other things. All right. So the way to stop that. We were talking about the way to stop the control of the money supply is to use local economic trading systems. The way to stop the whole genetic engineering thing is Monsanto needs your money, okay? So don't buy anything that Monsanto makes. The other thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that all the genetically modified foods are labeled. Now, California, this upcoming November, has a thing on the ballot to require labeling. And Europe already requires genetically modified food to be labeled. So thank you, Europe. We need to get the United States, Canada, Mexico, everyone to be labeling this. And basically, it's because when people know that they're eating genetically modified food and they have a choice between genetically modified, non-genetically modified, almost everyone goes, why would I want, no, non-genetically modified. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates are trying to enforce genetically modified foods on Africa because supposedly they're easier to grow or more resilient to drought or something like that. We have enough food. The problem is in the transportation. There is enough food for everyone. It's just getting it to the people who need it. It's not, it's hard to grow food in Ethiopia because there's a drought for the last 3 decades. It's just getting the government to agree not to hoard the food and to distribute it to the people. That's really what it is. Okay, another thing that I didn't mention in the intro is that these same people have a death grip on the media, which is probably why I'm on Access Tucson and not on, well, it also could be because maybe the show is not as polished as it could be, but who knows. Hey, at least I got the intro and the outro thing going on, that's kind of nice. But they basically, there's no way that you're going to get anything on the media unless you're like, if it's some stupid show about like reality television or something. There's not, the only real things that are on radio. I mean, you have like Coast to Coast AM and Alex Jones, and then sometime, I mean, I'd like to think that NPR was, National Public Radio was like, okay, but they really don't report on things where they could, report. And so the way, obviously, to combat that is, number one, get out more often and talk to your neighbors, okay? You don't need media if people got off their, even if you want to talk about something on a computer, okay, that's fine. But really, we need to get out more often and talk to our neighbors. You can get on Access. I mean, get over here on Access. They're taking people applications to get new shows all the time. You just walk right in. It's free to apply. You have to take some classes. They charge a little money for the classes, but it's you just go in and do it. It doesn't cost any money to put on a show like this. And then obviously, call into your talk shows and stuff and get your voice heard. You're not and then also stop watching the big media stuff. I mean, if you let yourself get, trapped in by the commercialized television, whatnot, that's all just go out and look for new stuff, and that's how we can help stop that. And then the other thing, and this is kind of speculative because no one really knows what HAARP can do. The high altitude, it's a high altitude atmospheric resonance project. What is going on is they're bouncing radio waves and different frequency waves from an antenna grid system off of the ionosphere and trying to control. Well, again, it's ostensibly it's to communicate with submarines underwater, which I guess it probably does that because you can penetrate frequency-wise off the ionosphere and back into the oceans. You'd probably really annoy a lot of fish. And there's some speculation that you can actually control weather systems with using the same method. I'm not sure if that is something that can be done. It's hard to say whether or not. I mean, seeding clouds doesn't really seem to work unless it was already almost about to rain. And then it doesn't really, and then it's just as long as there's still water there. It's kind of the same sort of thing. The energy in a hurricane or something like that is so huge that you would need to apply so much more energy to it to change anything about that. I'm not really sure if that's something that's going on, that can be done given the amount of energy that they're trying to use to power this thing. They're running it off of natural gas up in Alaska. So you can go try to tour the facility, ask some questions, rate your Congress people. Over on here, let me scroll down a little bit here. It's something that was really interesting here from the. I have it highlighted there. I'll just read it. This is from a mysterious stranger from Mark Twain. So you have the devil saying, what does it amount to? Nothing at all. You gain nothing. You always come out where you went in. For a million years, the race has gone on monotonously propagating itself and monotonously reperforming this dull nonsense. To what end? No wisdom can guess. Who gets a profit out of it? Nobody but a parcel of usurping little monarchs and nobilities who despise you, who would feel defiled if you touched them, would shut the door in your face if you proposed to call, whom you slave for, fight for, die for, and are not ashamed of it but proud, whose existence is a perpetual insult to you, and you are afraid to resent it. And this is one that I like, who are mendicants supported by your alms, yet assume toward you the airs of benefactor toward beggar, who address you in the language of master to slave and are answered in the language of slave to master, who are worshipped by you with your mouth, while in your heart, if you have one, you despise yourselves for it. And then it goes on, the first man was a hypocrite and a coward, qualities which have not yet failed in his line. The foundation upon which all civilizations have been built. And that's probably the part of it that you would recognize. That's the most quoted portion there. But that's what's going on. These people, this cabal, the Bilderbergers, whatever you want to call them, this global power banker industry corporate cabal is that exact group that Mark Twain was describing there. They literally need us to pay them, but then when we do, we give them the money, and then they act toward us because we gave them all our money now, and now they're rich. Now they act like, oh, we're the beggars. How do you think you got your money, The other thing that we need to do, corporations are not people. We need I guess it has to be a constitutional amendment, because it's awfully hard to, the way things are going with this, it's pretty hard to see that the way that the Supreme Court has decided recently. They're clearly, it's not even that recently. If you can go back to 1876 and look at some of the rulings from then, that's when this all started, and it's been incremental building up, getting more and more powerful with the corporations. Corporations used to be chartered by, say, the king or something like that to perform one specific good, like build a bridge. And then, okay, well, once you build the bridge, then you go ahead and charge tolls to get across the bridge, okay? And then once you get your money back from the cost of building the bridge by having people pay the tolls, and you just made your money back. You maybe earned a little bit of profit, okay, great. And then the corporation dissolves. It ends. And then you remove the toll booths, and now the bridge is free. Unless you need upkeep on the bridge or something, then maybe you start another corporation, add some more tolls, and right. I'm just giving you an example, but so that's the way corporations used to work. corporations now exist in perpetuity. I have a few that do, and while that's nice and convenient and all, it's not exactly the way that things. I mean, the corporations were supposed to be there to perform a specific good, and a specific good, not a general whatever. Now what happens is that corporations are there to earn money for their stockholders and not do anything that hurts their bottom line. In fact, it's arguably illegal for a corporation to not take the most profit-making route if there are multiple avenues presented. That needs to change. We need to have corporations, number one, accountable to the people that they affect. They have to be accountable for their externalities. They are not people, okay? So those things, corporations are not people, needs to be in this amendment. Corporations have to be responsible for all of their externalities, also has to be in the amendment. The externalities have to be factored in to the profits as negative, and they have to be responsible for all of their if they, if the what is it, not Dow, it was Union Carbide, now it's Dow, in Bhopal blows up and kills, 40,000 people, whatever it was, in India. They have to be responsible to pay for that, for the families, for what? For the lost whatever. They have to, if, BP spills billions of gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, it needs to clean up all the oil, and it needs to not use toxic chemicals to do that because, and then maybe it just shouldn't be drilling in there in the first place. But anyway, seeing as how that already happened, they need to be paying for it to be cleaned up. They need to clean it up. And then not only that, they need to reimburse the people for their lost income, all the fisheries, all the, okay, that's still, it's like pulling teeth for these people. So that needs to be in the amendment, that they are responsible for all of any kind of, whether it's not even negligence, whether it's something, oops, it just happened. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's why you have, a limited liability. That's why the corporation is the person that gets the fine and not the people that were running it. Unless, of course, it's like gross negligence, in which case, yeah, it should be the people who are running it that get the fine. So all these things have to be in the corporate amendment. I wanted to mention quickly. Do you have any calls? No calls. Let me put that one. Check and see if we have any questions on Twitter here. One thing I wanted to mention is the whole thing here with the current election. I just want to mention that. You got oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I'm just reading what I had written here. The whole idea of Romney creating jobs. Number one, I just want to mention the service level of those jobs would be literally service level. You would have there would be not really very many skilled jobs. Here's the thinking on that. The current economic policy is the one that we have right now, was the one that was set by the Republicans during the Bush years. What happened is that Obama failed to change our current economic policies due to the Republican filibusters. So we still have the same jobs policies, we still have the same economic policies due to the fact that Obama couldn't manage to change them because Congress was filibustering in the Senate. So the Republicans shouldn't be criticizing any of these current economic policies as Obama's policies, when it is a matter of fact that Obama's policies never have been implemented due to the fact of the filibuster. So any criticism by the Republicans of any current policy is a criticism of Republican economic policies, since Obama's policies were never allowed to materialize in the first place because of the filibuster. So I just wanted to get that out there just so everyone was absolutely clear on that point. So let's see. The other thing is that I don't know that either Obama nor Romney are going to be, I mean, you got the NDAA with Obama. He didn't have to sign that. He actually lobbied for stronger language, allowing him to have more control over people's instant detainee status and in their citizenship. And then there's this whole bill that's going through right now where if you owe any back taxes, you can't leave the country. You can immediately get your citizenship stripped from you for any infraction at the whim of the president. Okay, these kinds of things, how exactly is that like hope and change? I mean, the thing is that the whole concept of Obama or Romney, they're just two sides of the same coin, and they're part of this elite cabal. They are working. If they're not part of it, they're just puppets for it, and they're doing its bidding. And so I wanted to just put forth, and I wanted to also mention this on the air because, after all, I was running for president earlier in the year in Arizona. I would like to offer an endorsement, and that would be the Libertarian candidate. His name is Gary Johnson. He was the governor of New Mexico for a bit, right before Bill Richardson. Is another favorite of mine, actually. Apparently, yeah, if you can make it as governor of New Mexico, you're like super cool or something. Anyway, he's got some really good policies, and I think that we can get behind someone like that because he's not, one of these corporate elite people. I hear the music. That means we're almost over. And I also don't see any phone calls. So I'll check one more time to see if we have any questions. Yeah, okay. Well, so let's see. Got about 2 or 3 more minutes. So I wanted to let you know the next show. I'm not quite sure what the topic will be yet. I have some basic ideas and some possible guests lined up. It'll be on the here. Just pull it up here. It is on the 21st of September. It's Friday at 8:30, third Friday as always. So it'll be 21st of September. If you have any ideas for show topics, send them in, because I still have 4 more shows in the season, and not all of them have topics. About 2 of them do, but I'm not sure which order I want to put them in. Obviously, we'll be doing something on the election in October, and then I'm not sure exactly what in September. Also, if you haven't voted already and you live in Arizona, the 28th is the primary election. That's a Tuesday, the last Tuesday in August 28th, I believe. Make sure you vote. And check out the episode 403 with the time banks. because that contains some information that we'll need to get the local time bank working up on Sustainable Tucson right here, join their time bank, and get that all together. I gotta put the DD on here. DD, there we go. Okay. So, all right. So anyway, again, the way to make the elite cabal completely irrelevant is, number one, to let everyone know. All right. So all of that information that I gave you there, it'll be up on. We're gonna have this up on the internet, up on YouTube, probably within a 24-hour period. Make sure you let everyone, just spreading the knowledge that they exist, that this is their plan, that the concept is to basically make us all serfs back in the days when the kings rule everything. Now the corporations are the new kings, and it is the corporations that are trying to control us. So, number one, you got to get that constitutional amendment. There's a thing called citizen.org that's supporting that. Go there, check it out. So I think they have like a petition or something like that. They probably have the text of a proposed amendment there as well. Call people, get other people involved. We need to end the corporate rule over this country and the rest of the planet. So ultimately, what would happen is you'd have all these rich folk, and they'd be stuck in their own little thing, and then we would be there doing the rest. That'll be the show for tonight. Thank you. Good night, everybody. See you in a month.